Hey everyone, it's me Pixel again, and I know I look a little frazzled, but today I'm going to be doing a review of a My Little Pony fanfic titled Home Sweet Home. Basically, this fanfic was on a YouTuber named Scribbler's channel, who I've been, seeing videos of for quite a long time. So yeah, in any case, make sure to show her some support and make sure to like and subscribe to her channel as well. But yeah, for this fanfic, basically, if anyone is familiar with the candymare character from the Something Sweet to Bite series, you may want to check that out before this video. So yeah, I'm going to be reviewing chapter 1 because, well, it's kind of a bit of a big read, so yeah, it's just what I'm gonna do. But yeah, make sure to subscribe and also support the owner of this, because, and also disclaimer, I do not own anything, and also viewer discretion. This story is gory and has some really dark scenes, so I kindly advise you to click off the video if you don't have a strong stomach or are just squeamish. But yeah, kindly do that for your health and sanity, please, and for your comfort as well. So yeah, and also there will be spoilers, so kind of another reason to wanting to read the story first, or read the other stories in this series first and then come back here. So yeah, and on to the review. Basically, so yeah, first I'm going to read the synopsis of the story. A gruesome fairy tale with a peppermint twist. In the ancient lands where the 3 pony tribes once lived, the Wendigo's magic was locked the weather in an eternal winter storm. 2 little foals who have lost their way seek to find food and shelter in the deep dark woods. What they take for their only hope for survival may in fact seal their doom. Meanwhile, it's the first official heartwarming eve in Canterlot, but something is wrong in the fluttering country of Equestria. Can Starswirl the Bearded come up with a plan to set things right? This candy-coated horror will warm your heart and chill your spine. So yeah, basically, in the beginning of chapter 1, it starts with Starswirl the Bearded going to the first official Heartswarming Eve play, and basically this fanfic kind of gives some history on the holiday of Heartswarming. Like, I get the feeling, like, judging from this, you get the feeling this is probably some time after, like, when the pony tribes were kind of past the whole begrudgingly living again next to one another, and now they're kind of all, there's still some tension, but given what we heard and given the fact that basically it didn't happen overnight, and there's still some things and problems that that needs to be worked out between all 3 tribes. And one thing I found interesting is the alicorns. Given the fact that they're a mix of all 3 of the ponies, Starswirl has apparently kind of been studying them and wondering if there's any others left. But yeah, and then we cut to what appears to be a mare writing in a journal. Now, I actually took notes for this review, so yeah. So I could. So yeah, like I said, we cut to a mayor who is writing in her journal. And this mayor is actually pretty important because later on she is actually the mother of one of the characters in this. You can probably guess, and you can probably guess who. So yeah. One thing she basically writes down about what happened. Basically, the fact that her husband and her daughter have not at all come home since they left for the city castle. And basically what happened, and of course they just never came home, so yeah, and also some things that she mentions in her journal entries. She basically at one point says that her mother had been a maidservant for a rich unicorn family, and they basically taught their servants, and basically I guess also anyone in their family, to read and write. Now, and of course we actually get the feeling that the mother has some kind of grudge against the unicorns, as possibly well as the Pegasi, given the time period this is set in Equestria. You can probably... She basically says that she cannot face the city and all those, in quote, hornheads. And basically, she then, later on in an entry, she actually ends up finding... Well, her daughter actually kind of returns home to her. She basically says that, so yeah, they basically have a happy reunion, but then later on in the entries, something kind of mysterious happens. Like, her daughter begins to act strange, and she basically ends up getting sick, and the mayor, whose name is later on revealed to be Strawberry Patch, and her daughter's name is Pumpkin Patch. Basically, Strawberry writes down that things are kind of going off in her house, like, and basically, and like I said, her daughter is acting strange, and of course she just writes it off as whatever ordeal she went through. Well, she was not there when she was in the castle city, and basically she won't say what happened to her dad. And also and it's not just her daughter. Strawberry Patch also notices that doors are disappearing and reappearing from day to day. The forest at night is looking closer, almost as if the trees themselves are being moved. She mentions that she hears screams and voices in the woods, and that the house is starting to smell strange, like sweetly strange, like, but it also, in a sense, smells like death, and it smells like something's decaying. And she also mentions that her and Pumpkin are low on food, well, they should be, because Pumpkin Patch actually has been bringing her mother's stew, but to help with her fever, but she doesn't know exactly where her daughter is getting the ingredients from, or how she's making it, or... So yeah, she comes to the conclusion that her daughter might be going out to find ingredients, as well as probably getting wood for the fire. Sorry. And yeah, and she also notes that Pumpkin Patch is more active at night than she is during the day. And she also noticed that she's kind of mumbling to herself, like she describes Pumpkin as singing little songs. Well, now she's just singing one song over and over under her breath. And at one point Strawberry hears something at the door at one night, and she basically, and it basically opens and closes at night, and she hears some pony coming in, and also she kind of ends up hearing what she thinks she hears is in fact her daughter's giggling at her window. And of course the cottage that they're living in is starting to get weird as well. Basically, new rooms start to appear from the doors, or they basically end up leading to a dead end. Like, none of the doors, like, lead outside, and apparently, for some reason, the windows can't be broken. So yeah, and also later on, Strawberry Patch actually describes monsters that can take the faces of your loved ones, and she basically wonders why these creatures, like, why did they choose her daughter instead of her husband? Why would they know that she lost a daughter? She did love her daughter, but nobody could say that she didn't love her husband as well. So yeah. And then we actually and then later on, she basically at one point claims that this is not her daughter, but in fact, in her own words, is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, and of course at her last journal entry that we know of, she basically kind of sadly has a bad mental breakdown where she writes down a lot of things that she regrets. Basically, some things she's been eating, the fact that she regretted letting whatever impersonated her daughter into her house, not being able to do anything for them, even though we find out later who them is, for not being able to do anything for herself, the fact that she basically can't leave the house. Like, she can't break the windows, the doors keep switching places, so she can never leave outside. So yeah, a really, really sad and bad situation for poor Strawberry Patch, and yeah, she basically has a breakdown. And also, one thing that she describes is rumors. She basically heard rumors of a pony made out of candy that could take down a full-grown stallion, and basically was eating other ponies. But of course, she never actually believed in them. She basically just thought they were just rumors and nothing more. But sadly, it's not. It's basically. But the sad thing is, she basically now knows that they're real, and she deeply regrets not believing said rumors. And basically, so yeah. And then later on, we transition to this filly and colt siblings named Hansel and Gretel. So yeah, they basically ended up getting separated from their parents because while they were leaving their land to find warmer weather, something attacked their caravan and they got separated from their parents, and they're trying to find food and shelter. So yeah, Hansel and Gretel, they basically stop for a moment to, rest up and trying at least to find something to warm them up. And in the distance, well, not in the distance, Hansel then says he smells gingerbread, And of course, basically, they end up finding a little cottage made out of gingerbread. So yeah, Hansel basically then takes a bite off of it, and Gretel basically tells him not to, because frankly, like, why would there just be a giant gingerbread house in the middle of nowhere? So yeah, the two of them then decide to go inside, and basically they basically find the entire place from the inside out, and all the furniture, and the stove is revealed to be a pumpkin, but like all the furniture is made out of candy and sweets. And also something Gretel notices about some of the portraits on the wall is that they look more like a little girl drew them rather than, you know, the typical painting that you would probably see in a on the wall of a house. So yeah, basically Hansel then stumbles upon a locked door, which apparently is a cellar. But then they're stopped by a aging old strawberry patch. Basically, they get the feeling that she's some kind of witch, but Strawberry Patch then asks them what they're doing there, and of course, they both answer that they were hungry and they were just trying to find warmth and shelter. But at the part where Hansel says they were also trying to get a bite to eat, she basically asks if Hansel ate anything, and of course they both answer yes and no. So basically, Strawberry then takes Hansel away and tries to put him in the cellar and tells Gretel to leave, but of course she's not having any of that. And of course, they both end up down in the cellar where they discover a massacre of pony carcasses. And of course they realize that they're little foals and fillies. So basically, Gretel thinks that Strawberry Patch did this, and that she's basically been slaughtering the kids. But as Hansel and Gretel climbs back up from the cellar, it's revealed that Strawberry Patch might not actually be the one responsible for this. She basically starts sobbing and saying that it isn't her choice anymore, and at one point Gretel says that she hears childish giggling and wondering if it's more fillies or colts that she's adding to the slaughter, but of course she basically tells them it's not the lamb that they hear bleeding, it's the wolf. And of course, basically, something begins to detach itself from the kitchen. And, like, the room itself kind of starts to warp. And basically something forms behind the old mare, and it's revealed to be the candymare. So yeah, the candymare who is responsible for basically the cellar and basically all the bodies that were down there. She basically says that she basically asks if the filly and colt hurt her. And of course she basically says that she's gonna make them disappear. But then Hansel starts throwing up blood and gingerbread. And basically he ends up turning into a candy zombie, is what I call it. Even though he's basically now mostly made out of gingerbread. He basically takes a bite out of his sister's cheek, and she's basically now freaking out because she doesn't know what is happening, and basically the candymare then devours the gingerbread pony, and basically she then targets Gretel, and of course she basically wraps her up in her licorice hair and lifts her up. And of course she says that she hasn't prepared a meal set for the two of them, well, something along with those lines, for a while, and she basically ends up lifting Gretel over the stove that's now turned demonic like the rest of them, much like the candymare herself, and basically she ends up getting roasted alive. And you could... So yeah, it's not a pretty scene what the candymare does to Gretel. So yeah. But regardless of all the gore and stuff, we actually get a lot told about this story. We get into, like, some of the history of Equestria during the first official Heartswarming Eve. So we basically kind of get a bit of history of this holiday, as well as a bit on how it intertwined with one of the legends of Nightmare Night, which being the candymare herself, and we actually end up knowing a bit more about the candymare given the fact that we now, in this story, know her official name, Pumpkin Patch. And we also meet her mother, whose name is Strawberry Patch, and it's also revealed that her dad's name is Cabbage Patch. So yeah, basically that's kind of what is going on. And also, at one point, Strawberry Patch also mentions in her diary that that some of the ponies have been leaving the lands because of the harsh winter, because, well, the earth ponies can't grow any food. And that's a reason why Hansel and Gretel's parents were also leaving the land as well, or trying to leave the land before something attacked their caravan and basically caused them both to get separated from their parents. And, well, and also the references. There is a lot of, side note, there's a lot of references to the tale Hansel and Gretel, with Strawberry Patch's house being, being turned into gingerbread in order to lure in fillies and colts, and the naming of the siblings in this story, which are ironically named Hansel and Gretel. And much like in the first story of Something Sweet to Bite, and also this is kind of where I get into spoiler territory, so you may want to click off, sorry. But yeah, when Hansel reveals that he ate part of the gingerbread house, it basically kind of turned him into a candy zombie as well. Now this is actually kind of something the candymare kind of does, given the fact that she's, well, made out of candy, and given the fact that she's in a sense, she's cursed, and if anybody eats, like, something that was made by her, or a part of herself, or if she does something else to a pony, they basically turn into a candy monster like her. Well, I can't say what she exactly does to them. I'm going to leave that up to everybody else as to what she exactly does with them after they turn into candy zombies. But yeah, furthermore, this chapter was amazing. Like, the inside of the characters, especially with Starswell the Bearded in the beginning, we kind of get the feeling that he is basically, he's been studying this for a while, and of course there is actually kind of a reason why he's going to the Heartswarming Eve play. But we'll find that out in the next chapter. But yeah, so my final thoughts. This chapter was, well, disturbing, obviously, but it was, like, a good chapter nonetheless. Like, it basically gives us kind of, like, what we're in for the rest of the story. Like, getting more information about the candymare, and even getting information about some characters we didn't see that much in the first, like her mother, and also possibly her father. And of course, we basically kind of know what... And of course, the poor little filly and colt in this story, we kind of get... Even though they're basically end up becoming the victims of the candymare as well, we basically kind of... we feel for them, like... you can't... At the end of the day, you want them to, like... Or at least get out of there alive, even if they do end up getting wounded, find their parents, and basically just... And probably, like, they would probably have just wrote it off as bad dreams, so... Yeah, you basically are rooting for them to get out of there alive. But sadly, fate had other plans, as well as the candymare did as well. So yeah, I hope you all liked my review of Home Sweet Home, A Candymare Tale. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also show support to Scribbler and her crew, as well as the creator of this fanfic. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye!